Live from Chile. I know it's going to take a while for it to come on. You're getting this bonus video because my other video was a little bit too much for YouTube. So I decided to make another video, a little more practical. And I have my Chilean cafezine, café con leche. So big up. I think I see you guys. Let me know that you can see me. Hey, Rez. Peace to the east, to west. Rez, you're the only one here. Hey, Koshana. Hey, Ice Ikandi. Hello, my lovies. The last video was a little too much for YouTube, so I thought you deserved another video that was a little more appropriate. Let me give a shout out. For many of you know, I'm in South America. I'm in Chile. To my Chileans, I want to say before we start, you know how I start. I'm in Chile, South America. It is absolutely amazing. Really speak well of the Chilean people. The terrain is beautiful. I love the music here. The fashion is off the chain in Chile. So big up to my Chileans. I don't know if you are Chilean or you come from Chilean people, put a 13 up in this piece because you have received me and my family so well in Chile. So big up to Chile. Big up to all of these amazing places that I visited. I have been in this country for a little bit, from north to south. It's already buffering. What else is new? Oh my gosh. You guys, maybe it's the location because I am really south in South America. So put some evil eyes up in this piece to let Willy Wonka know we about this life. Because they really didn't like my last video, y'all, and I really felt like I needed to come back and give you something because it wasn't fair. Some people trying to hear my video, my message from the Andromedans, and it wasn't really well received. It's already choppy. Let me know. Come on in. Check on it. We have until 5. I got my café con leche. I'm telling you, I am in Chile. Chile. Chileans are amazing. Let me tell you. Santiago, Chile is off the mother freaking chain. I love it. Went south, Ushuaia, everywhere. It is amazing. So I want to give a shout out to my Chileans. I don't know if many of you have traveled here. It is not really something that they promote to us in the United States for good reasons. You know, it's kind of interesting that the United States does not really want us traveling, y'all. And I can't really talk about that here. The zombies will find out. They're doing something for people who are traveling. So we won't make that video about this because I want to talk about the Enima, the Nazi Vril Enima. And we're going to talk about the exorcism that needs to occur in 2024. So put up them third eye, put up them evil eyes up in this piece. Willy Wonka, and put some likes in the video if you like the shenanigans. You know, when people say, oh, FleurBrun, oh my God, you just talk about the life. Listen, let me explain something, y'all. I talk about that life, but I be about the life. Some people will give you intel from their garages, sitting in the same room, sitting in the same house all day. One thing you will get from a triple Sag is we about that life. We travel, we go places. I don't just tell you from a third person's perspective. I tell you because I go to those places. So, you know, it's not to take away from people who are intellists, but somebody had the baldacity to say that I copied JW's information. JW was on the internet after me, okay? And what's his name, JW1? No shade to him, but JW is always sitting in a white room, getting information from his wife and sharing it with y'all. And I would think I'm a little more exciting and a little more pleasant to look at. So please don't compare me to JW1 and say that I'm trying to placate information. Listen, I've been on the internet. Some of you know me on YouTube since 2011. Don't play games with me when you get these newbies and just try to say that, like, if anything, I would think they take some of their the way that they receive and take and give information from me. So stop it already. I think some of these people on here are haters, and you always trying to make it seem like I get my information from other people. I am listen. I source from source. And I don't sit in a house talking about, oh, you know, this is happening. Listen, I travel to the countries I want to go to. I get on-site information. I'm going to give you information about the Nazi Vril up your butt. Because I'm up in South America. Big up to the Chileans. I want to see if there's some Chileans in the motherfucking house. Chile, before we start, I'm going to wait until we get to 500. I'm giving you this video because you guys didn't get a chance to see my video before. I apologize. I think, you know, unfortunately, a lot of the information I gave, you know, isn't YouTube friendly. Okay. So let me just say this. I want to give a shout out to Chileans. Again, many of you know I'm in South America. I kicked it off in Santiago, Chile. I listened first time in Chile in my life. And I will say for all the Chileans, if you got a mom from Chile, a father from Chile, or any family members in Chile, or you from Chile, let me explain something. You have a beautiful country. Your economy is one of the highest, best in South America. They don't want to tell you that, y'all. When you go to Chile, Chile is like a combination of like Sao Paulo meets Philly meets New York, like a little bit in the village. And they are some of the most well-received people. As a woman of color traveling with her children, let me tell you, I have felt so gratefully safe, well-received. I haven't been stalked, looked at crazy like they do in our own country, okay? The food is off the charts, and the style of Chileans, the music, the hip hop is off the chain. So for some of the Sun Stars and Sea Stars who are more hip hop fans, not rap music, not Cardi B and all these others, I'm talking about hip hop, classic hip hop, you got to look into Chilean artists. Like I was put on coming here to Chile. Like I really, yes, I'm by the water. Can you tell? Someone can see, yeah. I'm by one of the biggest lakes. I'm all the way in the south of Chile now. I was in the north of Chile in Santiago, and now I'm in the south. The economy is one of the most booming economies. Their money is better than ours. So when you come to Chile, you got to have a little dough. You can't come, the passport brothers are not coming to Chile. They can't afford it. Chile is a well preserved country. It has a booming economy. The style is off the chain. The people are so intellectually sound, much more conscious than a lot of the other countries I visited in South America. So I have to give a shout out to Chile. So I don't see many Chileans in here, but let me give a shout out. If you never heard me give a shout out to Chile, it's because I didn't know. The secret's out of the bag. Now I know. Big up to Chile in the mother freaking house. Okay, so check on in. I'm waiting for everyone to get to 500. I'm giving you this video because they YouTube wasn't too happy with my last video. Let me know. It could be if you're getting a little bit of blur or something like that. I don't know if it's Willy Wonka. I am by the water, right in front. I'm on the water line. Oh, absolutely. Giuseppe, you're absolutely right. It's a beautiful country. Let me know that you can see me okay. It is absolute, like, if you've not been to Chile, y'all, and I'm telling you as a woman of color traveling with children, I've met some of the best people I've met in South America. It's a little blurry. I think it's Willy Wonka. They were really mad at my last video. This one's gonna do it. This one's gonna make them piss off more, but just the fact that they messed with my video, I thought I'd come to you again. I have to re-upload the video, Fiery Goddess. It just takes me a while. Janet Jackson, I'm a nasty girl. Remember that? I'm a nasty girl. Oh, I love. Remember the 90s Janet? You know I'm grown up in that time, so you know I'm giving a little bit of my genre away. You know what I'm saying? I have to say, since I've been out of the country, until we get to 500, I'm just going to talk and then I'll talk about the topic. Since I've been out of the country, for some of you who are a little nervous and scared, and I told you in the first video, get out of the country, I feel better. I look better. My hair is, many of you know I cut my hair. It's growing back now. My hair is looking amazing. My face, my skin, I thinned out. Because you know I'm about thickums. I thinned out. It's a lot of walking too. So, you know, a lot of times. So if you feeling, listen, if you feeling froggy, rub it. If you feeling froggy, take your behinds over to Chile. You got to have a little dough. You got to have a little money. You can't come here with empty pockets. But if you wanted to come and get peace, like I said, the Chilean people are amazing. The country is absolutely stunning. One of the best countries I've been to so far. Yes, I've lost a fat frog because of all the radiation, because we're being exposed to that in the United States. I kind of like bloated up. I'm feeling my figure, y'all. You know, FleurBrun likes to be a little saucy, and I'm feeling myself. The walking is off the chain. We walk by the water. It's absolutely beautiful out here. It's wintertime where I am. It is somewhere, if you need to get somewhere to get some fresh air, the air is so crisp. The food is off. We had some pumpkin soup last night because we're in wintertime, like it's the end of fall. It is absolutely amazing. So I always say, I don't talk about it, I be about it. I don't just tell you about places to go. I don't sit in my house and just talk and speak from this position. I go places and I speak from experience. That's why a lot of times when people say that I'm following another YouTuber, that hasn't ever happened. I'm one of the OGs on YouTube. So stop, forever said, I don't know who it was. I forgot who you were, sir. For you telling me that I'm copying JW1, you are so confused. He wasn't even doing a lot of that content until very recently. Okay, and there's no shade. I think he does a lot of research, but he also has a wife. He would kind of gets a lot of his information from, and he sits in front of one place all the time. So if you want to get intel from someone who's not living life, who isn't giving you from their own personal perspective, because I got some intel, y'all. I don't know if I can give it here. You got to wait until the end because I got some information on what's going on in Japan and Asia. I got my homegirls. Big up to Angie, who's over in Japan. I told you I got boobs on ground. So when you talk smack about the women in here, listen, I'm a well-traveled woman. I am a triple Sag, and I come from foreign people. So I got Angie, who gave us intel from Japan, and I got An, who gave me information who's in Vietnam right now, and I got information on what's going on in China. I got people everywhere. So I'm just saying, so please don't disrespect women who are intellists, who are about this life. I've been on a long time. I'm an OG. I don't copy anybody else. I am one of the originals. Okay? So no shade to JW. He does what he does. But don't compare me to a YouTuber sitting in their basement or sitting in a truck talking from a perspective when they don't move anywhere or go anywhere and do anything. I'm about that life. Okay? Big up to all the C stars in here. We got to represent. Because a lot of time intellists, you know, are men, which is no shade, but men tend to come from a different perspective. From women, it's a little different. From C-stars, we come from a different perspective, especially if we are well traveled. We speak a number of languages. We aren't pinholed in a box. So I'm in Chile right now, representing for Chile. Big up to everybody. If you've not listened, if you're lunar, which means white, Chile's got something for you. If you're a brown girl from downtown, from uptown, Chile's got something for you, C-stars. If you are Asian C-star, whether it's from Japan, Korea, China, Vietnam, Cambodia, who we got, Lao, Philippine, Taiwanese, Chile's got something for you. Okay, and for our European sisters, we got a lot of people from the UK here already. I want to give a big up to our UK family that's already knows about Chile. Chile is one of the, absolutely, it's on the top of my list of countries that have ever, it's the first time I've been here. I've been to the north, to the south, and it is stunning. Stunning. So, how about the cat people? You're a cat person? I love cats. Meow. The Lyrians. What about the Lyrians? You know what I'm saying? I'm waiting until we get to 500 to start my topic because I want everybody to be in the room. I know I don't give you a warning when I come on live, but if I do that, YouTube will find it and all the AI bots will come to my channel. So I kind of give you impromptu. So I hope you don't mind. You know, I like to come on, kind of like come on so I can give you the information so that if they take down the video, at least you'll get it firsthand from me before it's taken down. Okay, hopefully this video is gonna stay up, but I can't guarantee it. Music in Chile is off the chain. Someone's gonna find out. You know what, if there's anybody who knows any artists in Chile, I am loving the hip-hop, R&B, and the really artistic fusion over here, their rock music here. It is so on point. We went out to dinner yesterday. We were in one of the restaurants in this beautiful little German town. And it was so nice to sit down and see, like, just sit down and see everyone so happy and relaxed. What happened to the United Fakes? No one's relaxed like that anymore. It was a whole bunch of like moms. You could tell they're moms because, you know, when you're moms, you kind of like when a whole bunch of moms get together, they all had a glass of wine, they got their little platter, they were sitting down chilling. It was so relaxed. It's so nice to see a whole bunch of women come in. It was like families and so on, but you know, it's just nice to see people that are so relaxed. And like I said, Chile's economy is way better than ours. Like, listen, y'all, I was in shock. And since I've been in Chile, the United Fakes has been trying to do things so that this message won't get out to you because they're traveling to South America, my beautiful people. Oh no. They want you to stay in your houses in the United Fakes. They want you to keep getting exposed to radiation. They want to keep exposing you to other bioweaponry. And they're trying to eat up everything in your pockets. Okay? Are they messing with my mic, y'all? Delo. Okay, we're gonna work through this. We're gonna work through this, y'all. I'm gonna try to keep it up as much as possible. So I'm just saying, so big up. Anybody from Chile in here? They're messing with my stream. Nobody from Chile? I'm gonna give it a shot. I gotta do a video straight from Chile. They need love. I don't think they even need love. I think we in the States haven't been up on them. So let me say this. We're almost to 400. I'll wait until 500. I'll start the topic. So I want to give a buenas noches to our Chileans. The Spanish is a little different. It's faster, quicker. So it takes me a little bit more. My daughter calls it lingual anxiety. Okay. A boa noite. A boa noite to my Brazilians. I will be in Brazil soon. So yeah, you know I love Brazil. So big kick out because you know when I get to Brazil, that's home. So big up to my Brasilianos. You know, I will be visiting about a couple other countries too. So you'll find out as I go on along the way. Okay, so maybe you should start. We're almost at 500. Okay. I know the feed is a little funky. You know what I mean? I can't really do anything about it. Okay, so don't worry about looking at me. Like I said, I feel amazing. Big up to Chile. If you like the way I look better than I look in the States, you want to thank me leaving the United States. If you want a little bit of fresh air, a lot of fresh air, there is no, oh, let me give a shout. Let me speak because people don't talk like us. There are 0 chemtrails in Chile. 0. Numero 0 chemtrails in Chile. I've experienced none. As soon as I got here, my tummy, because you know I was froggy. I was a little froggy. I wasn't feeling that well in the States. My stomach was really funky before I left. I left to go to South America. I'm in Chile. My stomach's been amazing. You see me drinking café con leche. Late. You know, I'm feeling myself. I guess I have water too. So I have water. I'll drink some water as well. So, you know, I won't be all, and I'll be in a couple other countries that I kind of announced. So I have some intel about the Vril. I actually have intel about something else that's coming, and it's very important that you wait until the end. I don't want to put it in the feed because it's going to trigger the algorithm to attack the video like they did the last one. So I'll say this. I'll say this. I want to share it at the end. So can someone remind me and just put a marker on what's going on? There's something coming in fall, y'all. So you got to wait until the end. Kind of remind me again, because you know I go on a tangent, and it's something very important that's not being shared here. I got to give a big up to my C-stars that are over in Japan right now. Angie was in Japan, gave us some Buttafuoco information. She left Jamaica a while ago and she's up in Japan. And we got An who's giving us information straight out of Vietnam, from China and Vietnam, on time, in time, real time. That's the difference between a lot of these other so-called intelligence. They got to read everything. They got to take secondhand information. I get it straight from the beings who are right there on site. Big up to women, the women intellists. Big up to my C-stars, boobs on ground. You know what I'm saying? Don't ever compare me to JW. I was so triggered and insulted. Not because something's wrong with that I'm taking information from a man sitting in a van giving intel who has to read it online when I'm in real time in other countries. How dare you? You don't take away from women like that. Like we don't get credit. Just like in history books, they always change if it was a female made it into a male. Like how dare you? So now you're really making it seem like all women have to get things from men. Really? God darn it. Give us our credit. This is not like the 17th century. Like, God darn it. Do you want me on my back? Like birthing all your babies and not saying anything? I'm sorry. The Andromedans taught me better. You know what I'm saying? We got boobs on the ground, y'all. Come on in. Okay, come on in. We got 20 more to go, 500. I start the topic. Once I start, you know, Willy Wonka's going to be off the chain. So just once I start, I don't know how it's going to go. Just remind me to talk about what's going on in Asia and what's coming in fall in the United States, what they're already prepared to do. Okay, there's zero chemtrails. I'm on fire. I haven't any radiation hitting me left and right crazy. I've been eating food that hasn't been infiltrated with all kinds of chemicals, nanoparticulates. All the nanos been purged out of my butt. We're going to talk about that. Nanoparticulates up the butt. Okay? Because that's what they like to do. They like to spray you, put it in your food. I mean, I was eating organic. My stomach felt crazy. I leave the country, not even a day or two into the country. Everything's right. I debloat myself. I look better. I feel better. My hair is actually feeling great. My skin feels amazing. I can actually see and hear better. What the freak are you doing to us in the United States, you devils? You're nasty. You're nasty. Leave us alone. And don't you dare listen to the distractions, y'all. None of the intels are going to tell you what I found out. And what's interesting, because when we got the intel, big up to the Zoomies, because we were on late last Zoom. I think I got kicked off of Zoom the other day. But on Zoom is where my Zoom, two of our Zoomies gave me this information on real time. So this is interesting because after I got the intel, I took screenshots of everything. I was looking online. They're not telling you, y'all. All this Cardi B distraction, all of this other distraction, all these P. Diddy's and so on, y'all, they are trying to lull you to sleep. The real deal is coming in fall. They got something for y'all. Okay, so I'm going to give you the real. And if anybody ever thought to visit a beautiful country with some of the most amazing people, it's going to cost you a little money because their economy is better than mine. They will never tell you that this is a country that's doing better. Chile has got it for you. So big up to Chileans and Chile. Chile is actually a beautiful country. I am so happy. I'm by the water, which is amazing. One of the biggest waterways. I told you I'm here to get the telepathic messages from the Ice Queen with the Afro living out here. Okay. So, and they're doing something when you travel. So maybe I'll just give that to, I'll probably just tell the Zombies that because they're doing something. And now I realize when you leave the country, they will infiltrate. They know. So that's, you know, for those who are on Zoom, well, yeah, I'll make a video on that. Cause that I think I was talking to Melissa the other day and then I found out some information. So we'll talk about that. Are we at 500 yet? Okay, should I start? Because we're not at 500 yet. I want to, hold on. Okay, so maybe I'll just start. Hey, Susu. All right, I love the water. I watch the water. There aren't any mermaids that I can see in the water. But I will tell you, like, my telepathic ability, it's not even telepathy. It's a kind of like a, you know, when you're clairsentient and clairaudio, it's everything. Like everything, I feel everything, I know everything. There isn't that lockdown here. We're at 541. Oh, we're at 5. Oh, y'all. Okay, let's get in. Peace to the east, west, and the north, and the south. This is FleurBrun coming to you today with some information about the NaZZZi Vril. So big up to everybody coming in the house. I want to just talk about some information that it was with me a while ago, but since I'm in South America, especially in Chile, especially, you know, around a few of the so-called Nazis, I want to talk about something I found out and just kind of confirmed from traveling out into Chile. I think a lot of times when you get information, you can't really vet it and source it out, but I was able to source out information about the Vril. And we're going to talk about the NaZZZi, Vril, Exorcism, and the Enima that all of you need to do in 2024 in order to be able to make it through the pole shift, the reset, the mud floods, the mother freaking Satanists who are trying to put you in smart freedom cities, whatever they call it. So let's get in the conversation. So many of you know I made the video a while ago. I think that video I took down talking about the Vril. You know, many of you who know about if you're from the UFO community or you're from the ET community, you've always heard about the Vril in relation to Nazis, and many people talk about the Vril societies where they were always like occult societies, closely tied to the you know, the Knights of Templar, the Zionists, the Jesuits, kind of intermingled, and I really don't think they are. I think they kind of put them together in a goulash, kind of mesh them together, but they're really quite different. The Vril Society was always associated with males, but what I found out that the Vril Society itself is female in the way that it was presented and actually the actual base of the society itself. And if you watch the movie, the show with the Kardashians, which is disgusting, and I don't want you to watch it with your children. I don't want you, I would just suggest that if you watch something like that, because I want you to understand what I'm sharing, because the Vril is kind of embedded in the last American Horror with the Insectilian Queen, one of the Insectilian Queens herself, Kim Kardashian. And when it talks about a society of women that are controlling men from, you know, almost like a parasitic kind of presentation, and they birth certain males into their society, but they control them at all different layers. I talked about the fact that most of the men in power are controlled by insectilian females that literally have them under mind control by using a pheromonic, like a type of insectilian toning frequency, a scent that overtakes males and is able to put them under mind control, and they can control them from that perspective. Now, when we talk in terms of that, the Vril Society is one of these societies that I found out that is a matriarchal based insectilian societies. It isn't a reptilian society, to my knowledge, even though the worms may have some texture, look very serpent-like. They've always been linked to reptilians, but I found out they're quite parasitic. They're like vampires. They're like these little worms that are able to hijack the brain. When we talk about the zombie apocalypse, when we talk about the zombie snails, the zombie ants, the zombie deer, you do understand that what overtakes these, the bodies of an ant, a snail, or of a deer, usually is this little insect, like a worm, a little parasitic worm, that ends up going inside of them, infiltrating dermally, you know, anally, or sometimes through any open orifice. It's usually anally. And what it does eventually, it kind of hijacks the wiring of that host, whatever the host is. Sometimes you need more of these parasitic worms in order to totally hijack the worms. When we talk about nanoparticulate nanotubes, and we talk about chemtrails, we've always talked about chemtrails with these nanoparticulates that are coming off, almost working in sync and working with the electrical field, which is your cell phone, all the cell towers, all the 5G towers, all of the things literally being energetically woken up, so that they start working in sync and they start creating nanotubes that eventually hijack your cerebral cortex and take over your mind, and then eventually to be able to take over your body. Now, when we talk about, I'm going to go into the Vril, but when we talk about this, I want to kind of relate it to the fact that when we talk about people having cravings for sugar, I think many of you realize that usually the first sign that you have a lot of parasites in you is you're craving for a lot of sugary, sweet things. Parasites in themselves, fungi, all kinds of mold, they have this thing for sugar. Sugar in itself is a neurotoxin, and it is a food source for almost 100% of parasites and mold and fungi. If you go around a lot of distilleries in the Caribbean, over in, I think it's in St. Croix, they have a big rum distillery. You will always go outside the distillery and see, because it spews out like almost like sugar out in the atmosphere in these places, you always see like a whole bunch of fungi, or like a type of like sporish kind of thing on the trees, because there's a link to what they eat, the fungi and the mold. They like to eat sugar. Sugar is like almost symbiotic with the way that they are able to, it's a source of food, energy, and, you know, and in order to exist. Okay. So, you know, many of you realize that when you're parasitically infiltrated, you will have the highest amount of, craving for sweet things. And that is reason why Coca-Cola, which I told you in one of the other videos, is that Coca-Cola is the death. Let me explain, since I've been in Chile. Let me talk to my Chileans, because in Chile, apparently Coca-Cola is big too. So I personally think, do I have to say allegedly? Let me say allegedly, so you know Coca-Cola doesn't come from me, because you know they're ran by the Deros. I'm sure the Deros is responsible, because anything parasitic, I think the Deros are control of. Just saying, my opinion. So Coca-Cola is one of the most dastardly, most infiltrating, probably the most chemically damaging sources for these parasites. And that's what you notice in Mexico, for my Mexicano people. You know, big up to Selma, who's in Mexico, a couple of the other sea stars who are in Mexico, one of my homeboys who's over in Puerto who's over in no, he's not in Mazatlan. Where is he? He's over in, I forgot. I don't remember. Oh, Puerto Vallarta. He's in Puerto Vallarta. There is a problem in Mexico with Coca-Cola, and that being a biggest drug source. And I really feel like if your society loved you, if your government really had protection, wanted to protect you, that would be the #1 banned drink for consumption. It should be banned for children ever drinking it. It is literally a toxin. It eats up your inside. It is one of the biggest food sources that all these parasites like to eat and source off of, and be able to replicate themselves. But anyway, I'm kind of going off tangent. So when we talk about parasites, worms, and things like that, you have to think that a lot of these parasites source off sugar. But in the context of when we're talking about the Vril Society, as I know it, was a society, and they always said that the Vril took over the eye. And they would have images of like the Pope. They would have images of like, political figures. And they would always, you would hear, like, if you ever look online, and you guys can source this out yourself, you can actually look online and see all of these references to the Vril Society, and you'll see a lot of politicians and celebrities that they've said that they're making accusations that the eye being blackened or the eye being darkened is a sign that they've been taken over by Vril. But I'm here to tell you that I found out that that's cap. Yo, it's crazy to me how they will literally tell you part of the truth, and they will totally divert you from the actual way that they enter into your body by giving you a false image, a false context of how they enter your body by saying it's through the eye. It isn't through your eye. Now we're going to go into how the Vril is able to infiltrate, and why in most of these occult societies, they make it a point that anal sex is one of the #1 acts that needs to occur in order to infect you with the Vril. And remember back in the days I was saying, and many of you know me for a while, I was like, why is it that they all want anal sex? Like, I had to figure out, like, what is that? Then a couple of months ago, I found out that they were infecting people, and the actual parasite, remember I talked about this gentleman, and this is all from this gentleman's, his own words, so don't come for me. There was a gay gentleman, he had some homegirls, cucarachas is all off the chain. His homegirls were doing parasite cleansing, remember? And they said they were feeling really good. They did the turpentine one, right? So they did the turpentine cleanse. They were like, oh, you should do it. So the guy was like, he's a gay guy. He was like, you know what? Let me do the cleanse too. My homegirls is cucarachi season. Everybody wants to be healthy. Most people were doing cleanses, parasitic cleansing, and a whole bunch of things, okay? So he did the cleanse. He did the same cleanse they did, but more intensified. And then all of a sudden, after he had a host of worms coming out his butt, and he cleared himself from the parasites that clearly had changed something about him that he wasn't even aware of, he ended up finding out that when he cleared himself of parasites, his sexual disposition changed. Listen to me, family. You heard me say this before. I'm sourcing this with the Vril, so stay with me. He made a video. I think we shared it on Zoom. I shared it on Patreon. So just source it from my Patreon people. Just source it from the stuff we shared. He shared and said, oh my God. All these years, he started to be attracted to women. He had never had an attraction for women. He always felt like he was gay. But one of the reasons why he was most likely infiltrated, because in his youth, he was molested by another male, anally. The Vril is being transmitted through the anal cavity, y'all. They told you that it was through the eye, so you don't think that a worm could come. Now, really, how it's kind of hard for a worm to get in your eye. It could. I'm not saying it's possible. You got chemtrails, you got all kinds of stuff, but it's way easier to infiltrate by passing one worm through the urethra. And I'm not a doctor. Let me put this out there. I'm not a doctor. I'm a crazy person. I'm mentally ill. I'm a trans frog, now turned to a trans seal, about to turn into a trans penguin. This is a comedy skit. This is not real. I'm not a medical doctor. Sometimes I'm a referee. Sometimes I like to be a little sexy. Sometimes I like to not. Okay? So I'm just putting that out there. Okay? So that being said, is that it is necessary for you to realize that a lot of the information that is being perpetuated and shared in public media sites and even in books that are all infiltrated. Now, let me say this to you. A lot of times you don't realize, like even with Jason Bashir's, a lot of the readers, like really people who like to read a lot of the archive books. I don't want to take away from that because I think that's a very noble thing to be like a literary kind of person, someone who's big into like reading different books, especially historical books and historical references. What's the Zoom? Oh, the Zoom is, you would have to get on Patreon. I do Zooms, big up to my Zombies. I do Zooms every Sunday and Thursday. Sometimes I used to do it on Tuesday. So I do Zoom on my Patreon. So that's when I represent that. When I talk about Zoom, I'm talking about Zoom on my Patreon page. So don't worry about that. I'm not talking about Zooms I do here. It's what I do every Sunday and Thursday with my group. So let's go back to what I'm saying. So when we talk about terms of this gentleman who had done a parasitic cleanse, who then all of a sudden does a cleanse with his homegirls and finds out that he has been having sexual orientation for men his entire life since he was molested. Not my words, his. And most likely, in my opinion, that he was infiltrated with a male who had a worm and infected him from worm to butt in the anal cavity. Now, I talked about the monkey balls. See, remember, I'm an investigator. I'm a clinician. I'm really big into doing research, especially genetic research. Many of you know me from talking about blood types and what that matters. But in it itself, I kind of sourced this out because remember the whole monkeypox thing, y'all? I got to go back in order to go forward because some of you haven't heard some of my information regarding this. Just remember what I'm saying. I'm going to source back to the Vril, but I got to go back to the archives to give you examples of where I've gotten this information and how I've been able to source it myself. And I was saying, I'm not mistrusting Jason Bashir's, a lot of the guys who like to read the scholars, but a lot of times you have to realize all of the books that are out to the public that can be big up to the sister who said this, who could have literally, especially Jason Bashir's was in prison in one time. A lot of the books he read over 20 years were in his prison. You have to realize, you don't think that the CIA, the cats in array and the fools behind indecision I just make up stuff. Fools behind indecision. You don't think that they could source books into a certain, because most of your mind control programming, and most of the people that the cats in array have contracted are from prison systems. You know this, right? It's not saying that people know this, but a lot of times if you have prisoners are the #1 people that the CIA uses to incept or usurp a population by bringing them out, legitimizing them, pushing them out and forth. Like, remember with Charles Manson? Charles Manson was one of the biggest MK Ultra cats in array projects that they brought out there. He came from that. He was able to be infiltrated when he was in the prison system, where they control your drinking, they control what you see, and they control what you read. Okay? They control what you read. Any books out in circulation that have not been banned are okay by your government. They are not to be ever sourced as total truth. I told you that I went to CCNY, City of University, New York. Big up to everyone who went to school in New York City. One of the wonderful professors I had was Professor Jeffries. I had another wonderful Cubana professors with Latin American studies, and also with Professor Jeffries, who was talking about historical studies. I forgot I don't know if it was African studies or it was something. But one of the things I found out when I was sent to the RISM library. Big up to everybody in New York. And if you went to New York schools with some of these professors, you know what I'm talking about. There was a library called the RISM Library. The RISM Library was a legal, a non-governmental library that moved around every 2 weeks in New York City. It was all of the books that were banned by the government. We were sent there by our professors. It moved around every 2 weeks. The first time I went, it was on Fifth Avenue, off of Fifth Avenue. It was in a private building. I went inside with my backpack, a pencil, and a pad. I could not bring my backpack upstairs to where you source the books, where you were able to look for your books. I had to leave my backpack downstairs and everything. All I could bring is a pencil and my notebook. I went to the second floor. You found the books that you wanted to look for. They would get the book for you, and you could only read it there and source the information, take notes from there. The library moved every 2 weeks. It was all of the illegal books that all governments have banned. So I'm about that life. And that's from FleurBrun was 17 years old. I started college early. So I was 17 years old and I was sent to this RISM library. It's probably called something different now. Leonard Jeffries, big up to my professor, Leonard Jeffries, who taught me all of the wonderful beginning parts of not trusting the Willy Wonka systems that have been infiltrating our landscape of the way we think, the things that we know, and historical facts. Okay, so when you have someone like, and like I said, I listen to Jason Bashir. He's actually has some really great information, because he'll read books that I wouldn't read, and he's really a big literary kind of guy. But you have to remember, when you reference someone like that who comes out of the prison system, and the prison is highly controlled by cats in array and fat black intellects. I change the word all the time. Okay, when it's controlled by that, you have to realize, when someone like that gets let out into society and then all of a sudden they blow up, you got to realize, where have they maybe been used? And I think a lot of his information is true, other than the time frame of the pole shift, which he likens to be 2046. And I personally know that it's 2025 or around that time. It's a lot sooner. And the reason why I think they let him come out without any infiltration is because his time frame of when things will happen will lead people to be more complicit, and they won't be ready for what's coming. That's just my thing. But I actually think he's actually a good reference of a lot of literary things, but they're all controlled literary things that he's read. It isn't things that have been banned from society, banned from your reading, all the banned books. I haven't read all the banned books, but I just know that my professor, Professor Jeffries, the craziest professors all in New York City, that's when New York City has some real professors, all told us to go and source our books out of a library that moved around and had all the books that were banned from the government. When have you ever been to one of those? So when you talk to me, I'm a woman of a certain age, y'all. I know sometimes I look a little foxy. I've been on this planet for a little while. I've been around the block. I've lived a lot of places. I come from foreign people. So I've sourced things that majority of people have never heard of, ever seen, or ever had access to. Okay? Let's get back to it. So why does this matter? Because when we hear things about the Vril society, and you're only being able to source it through archives that are publicly presented to us, you have to realize that in order for that information to still be lingering out in social media, it is serving governments and is serving the so-called occultists that allow that information to be able to be sourced. But there are things about it that are untrue, or are presenting themselves in ways to influence how you think about it. So that's why I'm saying with the Vril, the whole concept of the Vril was connected to the Nazis, the so-called Nazi, a German society, an occult society, but they always likened it to be connected to males. And then when you go a little closer and you look into it from different angles, you find that it's a female, it's a matriarchy type of society where these females had full control. And they were utilizing their ability, because I personally think that they're the ones who initiated this insectoid to go up the butt. And I personally think that they're the reasons why all these governmental systems are using forms of MK Ultra sexual magic through the anal cavity in order to infect children, adults, and take over their mind and use mind control programming. Because remember, insectilians, what did I tell you about insectilians? They are all very Borg-like, and they have a one mindset, like a hive mind. So like a spider, a bee, there's always a cub in their collective. And with the Vril, it's just like that. So if you put a Vril worm into someone, infect them, they will have not only access to the hive if they're high enough in consciousness, but the hive will have access to them. And what I found out is that not only will the hive have access to them, they will be able to control them, because I also think that the Vril in itself might be some sort of non-organic form of AI worm. It's not a natural worm. This is an opinion. Now, normally I tell you facts, but it's like Borg-like. It's like an AI, kind of like a worm slash robotoid that is infiltrating that space. And maybe it's become organic over the years. Maybe that was the base of it. I don't know. Okay. So that's why I'm saying they have a collective mindset. So if you infect someone with a real worm, that's why I found out that one of the number one ways that they do in the industry with males, all males, in order to take them over with mind control programming, is to access their anal cavity and insert the Vril so that they can insert their consciousness, their one-minded collective consciousness, and control them from that Vril that will now hijack them through their cerebral, through their spine, which is the serpentine energy, because the spine is like a what is it, like a oh God, like a pole. You know, the spine has that serpentine energy that you can almost like, you know, like a staff. So the energy goes up. So this worm hijacks them at the base of the spine and is able to get them up all the way to the back of their neck and basically take over the brain, or insert in certain ideologies in the brain. Okay? So this all has to do with insectilian society. We can make it, bake it, flip it, rub it, you know, knock it down, say it's reptilian. It isn't. It is more AI and insectilian than it is reptilian. Reptiles get blamed for everything. If you talk about reptilians all the time, like David Icke, I mean, why do you think that people have been allowed to sit? Oh, like a lightning rod. Thank you. Thank you. Spine is like thank you, Neo. Maria, thank you. You know, when you talk about terms of reptilians, you hear all these YouTubers say, oh, you know, it's the reptilians. You think years of David Icke, even though he looks like a stray snake. David Icke looks like more of a lizard than Elizabeth Lizard looked like a lizard. How does a lizard talk? Because a lot of times they will place their own people, controlled opposition, to speak about the things and control the narrative of opposition, because natural people and healthy consciousness and healthy awareness that are getting a certain awareness, they need to know that information is not being sourced from one side. So the nature of people is to look, especially if they feel like there's something wrong on one side, they'll look for an opposite or a perspective that's closer to what they're formulating or coming up with. So they always have a control opposition. All of the love and light communities, all of the pseudo-conscious communities, all of them have been usurped by the Willy Wonka system called the cat's in the rye. Nothing you've heard is anything that's organic if it is based in social media. Anyone on social media over 100,000 subscribers is more is in alignment with the Willy Wonka system. It doesn't mean that they're working for the Willy Wonka. I don't want to say that. It's not true. It doesn't mean that they are necessarily purposefully doing things to hurt people or giving narratives that are in alignment with the Willy Wonka. No, that isn't true all the time. But it means that in order for them to reach a certain status online and have a big and huge platform, because listen, anybody who's been on YouTube for a while, many of you realize, most of us on YouTube, all of the greatest YouTubers, I am not one of them. I'm one of many, but I'm not one of the best. I'm talking about our huge intellists. I'm talking about people who are the best ufologists. I'm talking about people who are really biggest in metaphysics and talking about homeopathic medicine. All of them were taken off. And you know that I used to talk about Carrie Cassidy, and you know I had a little beef back in the days with something she shared, but I have to give credit where credit is due, because even Carrie Cassidy, who I may have felt didn't give information in alignment with some things I thought, they even took her channel off. And she had the biggest archive of information in Intellis. That's the one who talked to Norman Brogram, who's the Ringmaker of Saturn book, who talked about the blacks, the tall blacks that your government had pictures of big black men coming off a spaceship disc with big turbans on their head. How come none of the UFO intellists? Where's your UFO? You know, I always shout out the fakeness in the UFO community. They never talk about the tall blacks and these men wearing turbans, the Moors, the true Moors that are really controlling this realm, the Centaurians that Norman Brookman. If you want to get some real information, get Norman Brookman's book, The Ringmakers of Saturn. That will humble you to who's really working the magic on this planet. Okay? So, hold on, y'all. I get the coffee's got me. Big up to everybody. Please put a like on the video. Listen, that tastes so much better. It's a little cold. Okay, so when we talk about the Vril, and I found out that if you watch the movie, let me state this because I want to give warnings to people who watch. If I suggest watching something, I'm suggesting you watching it with clarity, with a keen eye to be able to decipher the information I'm giving, and to make sure you aren't being infiltrated or fear-based or having some insertion that's unnecessary. Okay, so if I'm sourcing something that I want you to see, it's because I want you to see an aspect of the Vrilish society, the women who are part of the Vril society that are controlling all of these males. Remember when we talked about the Andromedans is one set of sea stars that represent an aspect of those from Tiamat. From where I come from, Andromedan star systems is where we came later, but Tiamat is where we're really from, which is the original Earth. This is a simulated Earth. You understand that's what I know. This is a simulation Earth. This isn't real. This is all terraformed. This was created by your Willy Wonka systems. A lot of the beings here aren't even real. I personally think that the majority of people here are simulated people, empty seeders. Some sort of like, some of them might even be empty vessels, like empty seeders that have things inserted in them. Like, you know how you go to an amusement park and you want to have an experience, like beings just come experience. Okay, I don't want to get seeders and other beings that are using human form in the world with us. Okay, and then robotoids and syntheticas. There's a lot of things going on here. Okay, so if this information isn't for you, just log off, because really in itself, like this channel is a very organic channel that I haven't paid for any subscribers. People have come to me over the years. I've been one of the longest OGs on YouTube. So if this is information, I'm not coming from JW anything, but I'm just tired of people saying that I'm getting information. I'm not here. I'm an OG. Look at the time frame I started my channel. Okay, so that being said, I wanted to source the what do you call it? Kim Kardashian on that show, American Horror, because they were insectoid. That's why they always wear the ant ears. Okay, they're really being disrespectful because they're wearing the ant ears, representing themselves like they're connected to the Andromedans, who are connected to the ant beings. And the Hopi, many of you know the Hopi also dress in the ant ears, the ant antennas. They're connected to the ant beings as well. It's very disrespectful. They're really some sort of, they're trying to placate themselves like spiders as well. They want to be that. These are like wannabes. They're another form of insectilian that kind of placates itself as something else. So they use these things that are familiar in our cellular memory to kind of hijack the way you think of things. If you watch that series, it's very disturbing. But I want to tell you who is actually ruling. And those were women, and I don't want to call them really anything other than vampires. There's vampiric. These are the ones you hear in the stories that used to eat babies. A lot of times they're very in sync with the Daros, who like to eat babies too. The Daros do all that bloodletting, killing babies, eating babies, doing all the bloodshedding. They're kind of in sync in the same behavior. They're a different group, but they actually, I think they have an alliance. If I had to think about it, the way that the society is set up with these insectilian queens that are hijacking men through these multiple worms that are sent out as an infection in the butt by having sex in the anal cavity, injecting these Vril, which hijack the spine, almost like the lightning bolt, and send, kind of take over and eventually send messages and take over the host and influence them to do more and infect, just like the zombie snail. And the zombie snail and the zombie ants main objective was to infect others. And if you look at that movie that I just saw, my daughter had me watching the video game, Left Behind. Is it called Left Behind? Can someone verify? I think it's called Left Behind. I actually watched the video. The video game was good on live. Like, she had me watching it, the whole fungi thing. And I'm gonna go later in what's happening in Asia right now, which are about to unleash on the United States. So some of y'all gotta be up on it. When I told you to leave the country or get ready and pop off, you see what they're doing in Idaho. They hijack the water. They're getting rid of all your food sources. Everything's infiltrated. The United States has been chopped up and liquefied, and has been sold to many different people. It was a lease that some of you had. That's what I'm saying. You shouldn't have see, some of you were comfortable letting other people being mistreated and marginalized and vilified. You know that brown people in the United States are the most vilified publicly because the Daros like to have images, especially brown women, doing the most disgusting things. And most brown women, I would say 70% of brown women are very conservative. Even though on all of your social media, the only people they show acting really hypersexual, like whores, being bots, it really propagating that so that they can influence our younger women to act that part. People will say, oh no, there's young girls acting like that. Of course they are, because they're watching the perpetual images that the Daros are putting out there, because they own all of the social media. They're controlling that. And what they do is they perpetuate those images. So the young girls who are watching that are under mind control programming, social engineering, to want to be like those girls, like a Cardi B, like a Mr. Stallion, trying to be like what's that other chick's name? All of them, a host of them, they're all low vibrational. That is not the testimony, because even when I go abroad, I have to fight those images. And big up to my Brazil homegirls who also feel this way, because Brazilian brown women are shown to be this way, and it's actually a lie. A lot of Brazilian brown women are just as conservative as brown women in the United States and a lot of other places. But if you wouldn't know that, because what is it? Shaking it. You know what I mean? This person said, you can't possibly be conservative because your boobies are big. I didn't know having big breasts makes me non-conservative. This man was like, well, you have big breasts and you show it. I show none of my boobies, y'all. I have a longer, bigger cleavage because I'm much more busty. But how does that make me non-conservative? You don't ever see me thoughting it. You haven't heard of all these men saying they slept with me. I have children from the same man. How is that being a thought? Do you understand the social engineering? Why I say that to you is because the social engineering is why a lot of us think a certain way. And you have to fight the imagery in order to, I know it's low key, right? The imagery is purposefully meant to make people see you in a certain way. So even if crime is done, like if you have a majority of people doing crime, but you only marginalize a little segment of certain people, and you show that over and over of them doing crime and nobody else, even though more other people are doing crime, you're gonna make people think we're all criminals. Okay? So I just put that out there. Just to give you an idea of how much social engineering is happening, and how during the cucarachas, when all of these men, and I talked about this in my other video, that all of these men that were sleeping with other men were doing cleanses, parasite cleansing, and finding their wands being erect to women. Let me say it again. Did you hear what I said? A lot of men, I didn't say all. Notice I didn't say all. Listen to my words, because some people are like, oh, she said, listen to what I said. A lot of men were doing parasitic cleanses, however you see it, and they were finding themselves looking at women getting excited. And then all of a sudden, all these weird bumpy videos of monkey balls showed up. Can I put some lip gloss on, y'all? Because I know it's, I'm trying to be appropriate, okay? Let me, because I'm trying to stay on. I'm trying to make sure this video stays up, okay? So can you just put some likes in the video, y'all? Yeah, I'm putting lip gloss on. I just want to, okay? Do not stay here if you don't want to hear this information. Do not stay here if you do not like trans frogs, trans seals, and then trans trans penguins, because that's what I'm about to change into. I'm mentally ill. This is a comedy skit. I'm not a doctor. So I'm just saying, if this is not content for you, rather than you writing a whole epilogue of how you don't like this video and how you think I'm a thought bot and that you think that all my ancestors are whores or that you think that this information is relative, just log off. There's a whole lot of people that are in sync with your ideology and your mindset and your consciousness. I'm just not one of them. Okay? So let's go back. So during the time when cucarachas was like, chop it like it's hot, chop it like it's hot, chop. Okay, so we got cucarachas on the run, because remember when cucarachas supposedly came out, all these inflated numbers, oh, people are falling off boats, oh my God, they're going all over the place. But it really didn't happen until came about, okay? But all these men and women were doing parasite cleanses. And their sexual disposition, not the women, because if women like women, it wasn't changing, but it was something interesting that, you know what? I don't know if the women's disposition was changing. I can't vet that out. Do not strike that from my additive. I don't know. Strike that. I have to research that. I don't want to say that because I don't know. You know, I'll tell you when I know things. I don't know that. I don't know if women who were liking other women change after. I don't think so, because I know women that are gay and they're still gay after they did parasite. I don't. Okay, so I can't vet that out. Let's go back. So all of a sudden, you're Willy Wonka. This is something you don't remember, because in social media, you will never hear this again. You will hear certain things come out and you'll never hear it again. It'll be lost in the sauce because a lot of your channels are socially engineered by your CIA, cats in a rag. Okay, so all these bumps coming on and these good looking gay men, they start scaring gay men, because you know in Miami, the gay men are, listen, I gotta give shout outs to the gay men in Florida. They are probably the best looking men, gay men, them and the ones in Rio. Big up to the gay men in Rio and Miami. Y'all got it, like visually, like they are the best looking. Like, I mean, as far as like dress, like body type, they're very big on their aesthetics. Like they're clean cut. I'm talking about the best, the creme de la creme of gay, like gay men who are really big into their looks. But could you imagine in that community, they were putting all these images. Y'all, you need to find it and send me the images, because you should have seen the images they were showing all on social media of good looking gay men with bumps all over the face. Do you remember the monkeypox, y'all? Because you know the videos that they took off of YouTube on my videos were all the monkeypox videos. You know that, right? Why would YouTube be so interested in taking videos that were made 2 years ago on monkeypox? Why? The videos didn't really say much. They took all my monkeypox videos down, y'all. So do you remember when they had images showing gay, good-looking men with bumps all over the face? Do you know the cord of fear that shot through the gay community, thinking that they're beautiful, hot rod bodies? You know what I'm saying? Fleet, clean. You know how they felt? So then they said, Willy Wonka said, hey, there's monkeypox going around and it's affecting gay people, especially gay men. But we have a vaccine for you. Did you remember, do you remember when you saw The Shining? Monkeypox. Monkeypox. You remember that? Do I have to do a throwback? I wish I had music like that. Okay, let's do a throwback. Do you remember? Well, we got monkeypox on the run. It's infecting gay men, making them look atrocious. We got some for you, though. Even though, why would we have a vaccine already created from something that was fairly new? But I don't know. I'm an idiot. I'm a maniac. I'm a liar. This is a comedy skit. I'm not a doctor, and I'm a fool, and I'm a trans. So guess what? While everybody was sitting, eating their Cocoa Puffs, sitting in their house, watching all the Housewives of Nightmare, they made sure that they promoted and instituted and gave out a vaccine for monkeypox to all men having sex with men. Do you remember there was a lot of men and some freaky women, because they were scared for themselves, that got these shots? Could it be that when people were doing cleanses during the cucarachas and getting rid of the vril out their butts, that it was changing their disposition, and that, I don't know, maybe Willy Wonka wanted to reinstitute the vril back into their system to re-infiltrate that group so that they can perpetuate that worm back into the societal or sexual, sexual arena. Big up to the exorcism of the vrils through, doing some amazing cleanses and what have you. So, and let me state this, y'all. Not only gay men have anal sex. That's why many women have been infiltrated with the vril anally. Freaks come out at, let me have some water, y'all. The freaks come out at night. The freaks come, other freaks. Freaks come out at night. Remember that song? Another one bites the dust. Da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. You don't like when I get quiet, right? So, through porn, masturbation, anal perpetration, shots of mass destruction, your Willy Wonka system has managed to be able to usurp the human population. When is the last time you've had thoughts of your own? We should have a commercial. When is the last time you had thoughts of your own? Are you having cravings for having things stuck up your rectum? Are you having cravings for sugar and things stuck up your rectum? Okay, so let me say this. I'm out of control. I should have never made this video. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm at 3:33. Please, I am a equal offender. This video is not for children unless they are of age that are sexually active. Your young ladies, if they're engaging with males, and my suggestion is to make the males, before they have sex with your young ladies, is to give them a full-blown insectilian, what do you call it? A cleanse. An insectilian, no, a parasite cleanse. Before you engage with any male, and if he is constantly trying to touch your butt and trying to stick something in a hole that really is something that allows for excrement to come out, because really in itself, you talk about hygiene, how safe and how healthy is it to put a sexual organ inside of a hole that is meant for excrement? I don't know how you feel. Like, would you eat food from someone who was utilizing excrement in your food? Would you go to the bathroom and put poop inside of your urethra? Would you do that? I'm just asking. I don't know. Maybe you would. But if that isn't something you'd like to do, Why would you allow for a sexual organ to enter into a place where excrement, which you've known, like if you go to any restaurant and they have poop on the food or so on, people get very sick. Why would you allow that to happen? Unless something in your brain had been altered. And why is it that your occult, your biggest occultist in the music industry and all of these weird occult societies, why is the number one thing that they want to do to children, especially males, is to anally inject, or sorry, anally violate them? Now you could understand that maybe this is a real agenda to be able to have a worm that is geoengineered, probably a hybrid of some sort. Maybe it might be partially AI, like a robotoid slash insectilian fused into one, going into the anal cavity to be able to hold the consciousness, to influence the being and take control over them, like the zombie snail, the zombie deer, and the zombie ant. Why is it that your Willy Wonka system says they're trying to protect you and they want to give you everything, blah, 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 up in you, but they don't tell you, hey, let's clean up the food. Let's clean up the food. Let's stop making it so children, it should be banned for children under the age of 16, especially when they're going through puberty, to have any sugary sweets in their drinks. Like soda pop and all that stuff should be banned. They banned cigarettes for a long time. They banned liquor because liquor is wine and spirits, which is another form of sugar infiltration. Why wouldn't you ban sugar? Like all these candies, all these forms of like sugar. Why wouldn't we ban children, especially under a certain age, so that it doesn't hurt them, it doesn't cause health issues, it doesn't feed parasites or vampires in their body? Why aren't we doing that? Why are you on the most marginalized people who are getting food stamps and it's another thing that they give. It's another subsidized food program. I'm trying to think what it is. What's the name of the other food subsidized that they give mothers after they give birth to children? What is it called? Does someone know what it is? Oh gosh, it's a program for like they give them. Thank you, Kim said it. Wick or Snap? Is it Snap or Wick? Is both? Tam. Okay, those. Why is it that they give them all these vouchers and the number one thing that they have for children is tons of juices? Now, when you eat a fruit, hold on. When you eat a fruit, right? So I eat one pear, right? This is a pear. I eat one pear. So I eat the pear and it's the fruit of one juice, right? It's the juice of one fruit. Do you know when you give your child things like all those juices, like, I don't know the juices because I wasn't giving my children those juices. I gave them Honest Kids and I only gave them the grape because I didn't want apple. Because remember I told you when my mother was, when I was little, the doctor said, don't give your daughter apples because it stunts their growth and it causes other issues. And it's interesting that they put apple in all of the children's juices. But why would you want to have your child drink juice with 20 of these in one juice when you could just eat this and have the juice of one fruit? But why would you, juicy juice, ocean spray, why would you want to give your child 10 of these in one juice source? Not even with the fiber, because this is all the skin and all that, that's all the fiber. Why would you want to do that? That is assault on a child. That is some form of, you should be charged with a crime for even giving people who have less money, who are more marginalized, who need a little help. Why would you give them juices where you would give all of this fruit into one thing, all that sugar? And then you wonder why the children have all kinds of attention deficit, all kinds of brain fog. If you ever take your children off of sugar and parents be like, I can't do that. Guess what? I'm a mother. If this is all your children have in the house, what do you think they're going to eat? If all you had in your house was organic fruit and water, and that's all you had in your fridge, what do you think your children would have to eat? They're not gonna go hungry. I don't care if they don't eat it for 3 days. Guess what? After the third day, your little Tommy will eat this like this is a steak dinner. Do you understand? The problem is that all of your main so-called childhood issues has to do with sugar. And it has to do with them totally, your Willy Wonka systems, creating a whole food structure based in feeding an alien worm up the butt. All these parasites, they talk about the reptilians. Why don't they talk about the insectilians? Because it's really the insectilians that are ruling this realm. You want to talk about all of the things. There are all the beings that are taking over. Watch Starship Troopers, y'all. Watch Starship Troopers. This woman said to me one time, she was like, Fleur, you talk so much smack. You must be privileged. Your children have more. Listen, I don't talk about it, I be about, but if you want your children to be healthy, there's no reason why you need to have big soda bottles with Coca-Cola with all these little square little nanoparticulates looking like robotoids up in there, and you putting that in the body. It could be graphene for all you. That's why some of the sodas are dark. That's why if you're gonna do anything, then why wouldn't you do like Sprite? Why would you do that the darkest? Like there's difference between dark liquor and light liquors. There's a reason for that. Okay? Why would you do that? Sugar is the devil. It is the vampire and parasites food source. And you are the host. And in order to hijack you and your children up the butt or so on, you have to give it its food source. The Vril society is taken and hijacked. We have the real alien invasion, and it is up the butt. It is up the anal cavity, the gluteus maximus, the poop shoot, the fess, the bum bum. This is, they're laughing. Remember when they said, "Oh, we have an invasion, an alien invasion." What made you think the aliens were going to be big? What made you think they couldn't be small, like spores? Because fungus, mold, those are forms of infestation that can happen, and also bugs. And a lot of them work synonymously. A lot of times the bugs will be carrying the spores. We talked about the cicadas of mass destruction that basically shoot projectile pee up to 10 feet, and that their butts also have some sort of mold that falls off and goes into your soil. So you got mold, and then these little spores, because mold, it releases spores, right? And that goes right up your nose or in your eyes. It wouldn't be a worm. It would be spores. The Men in Black. Thank you, Eyes. Eyes M. Koa. Thank you. That's right, Men in Black. Here comes Men in Black. What did you remember? And now, they gonna have you eat bug milk. You heard about that, right? You better read the food that Willy Wonka's putting in your food, because a lot of the milk that you're drinking now did you see the mealworms that they crush up and make into a thick milk, and they're selling that to you? They're selling mealworms crushed up. Listen, I actually think they're roaches, but they're going to tell you it's mealworms. I think the best would be the mealworms. I think the roaches is going to be, roach milk is probably what they're giving most people. Okay? There's not that many cows that they're milking anymore, y'all. They've been killing off the cows, for the last 4 years? Killing off the food source. Where are they getting the milk from? They're telling you and a lot of people have, what's the material? A lot of people who have allergies to shellfish and crabs and lobster, what's this What is it called? What's the material that the bugs are made of? It's an allergen. What is it? It starts with a K. Can someone tell me what that is? Kectite? Is it Kectite? Can someone tell me what that is? It's a material it's an allergen too. Most people that's probably why I was getting sick in the United States. Can someone say what it is? No, it's not that. It's something that's in the bugs. It's something else. Oh, I can't remember. It's like it starts with a K. Someone will remember it. No, it starts with a K. It's like a no. It's Chitin? Is it, what did you say? Chitin? Oh, chitin? No, it's not keratin. Chitin? No, it's something. It might be Mary might be right. That might be the word. Maybe I think it's a K. Chitin? Chitin. Mary, thank you. Mary Coleman. Mary Coleman said thank you. I had to pronounce it right. Chitin. You were telepathically saying, say it right. FleurBrun, say it right. Chitin. It's chitin. Most people who have an allergy to shellfish have an allergy to chitin. And that's why a lot of times you think you're eating food and you're getting sick. And I personally think you should stay away from nut milks. Nut milks have a lot of spores. They're not cleaned, and nut milks is causing a lot of issues, gout later on in life, a lot of issues. If you do seeds like flaxseed milk, that would be better. I've always told you Good Karma was the one I've sourced out from when my children were young. But that's the only one. Nut milks is, that's why they promote almond milk and so on. That causes a lot of issues because it has a lot of spores, and anything that's in silos that hasn't been cleaned has all these molds that's sitting in there, and that they're not cleaning them off and putting baking soda to get rid of the molds or the fungi on them. They're just basically milking them down. So you got to be careful, especially with children. Make sure you aren't giving children nut milks. Just that isn't, I wouldn't recommend it as a mother. It causes a lot of health issues, and that's why they promote a lot of a lot of the vegetarianism and veganism is putting all that nut milk, and a lot of them have a lot of issues, and they end up not having the proper enzymes in their stomach and getting very sick later in life. So just be careful with too many nut milks. If you do it once in a while, I don't think it's terrible. I think anything in moderation is fine, but I would be very careful with nut milks. Because again, unless you're cleaning it with baking soda, getting rid of spores on it, could you imagine all of the nuts going into the milk, that much milk? You're gonna have issues. If you make it yourself, and be careful with nuts, because you're soaking, you gotta release the gases out of it. It's like beans, you gotta be careful. It causes stomach issues later in life. A lot of the people have the most issues. Coconut water is very good. Coconut water, coconut milk, it's more organic. So oat milk isn't good either. Oat is another one. Oat has a lot of issues long term. Oat also is one of those things that's held in silos with a lot of spores. You got it. When I say to you, don't listen to me. Look and see what they're mostly promoting. Go to your stores, and I want you to go and see what Willy Wonka has mostly for people who are so-called vegans. See what they're promoting to them. Almond milk, all these nut milks. Flaxseed is something I told you years ago to get. I mean, I had my little ones on having a little bit of flax milk. You can make flax milk yourself, especially you don't trust. Good Karma was one of the ones I've recommended. Good Karma was probably the best. It's healthier. You don't want to mess with nuts too long. It causes a lot of issues, and you can source that out. Don't listen to me. Always source it out yourself. Okay? Cows, and we shouldn't be having cow's milk either. I mean, listen, I'm going off on a tangent. This is like when you've seen over the years, I've kind of given you recommendations of things as a mother, as someone who goat's milk is closest to human milk, and that's not something I ever promote. Raw milk actually has all of the wonderful enzymes, all of the wonderful probiotics that are good for the stomach. That's why it's banned. I'm an idiot. I'm a liar. I'm not a health expert. This is a lie. This is a comedy skit. Okay, so I'm just saying, just be careful with that sea stars and sun stars. If you're giving that to the babies, I wouldn't suggest, especially if they're very young. You'll give them a lot of other health issues as they get older, a lot of stomach issues and things that may be irreversible. Okay, the fall season. Okay, so am I good with time? All right, thank you, Giuseppe. Okay, so did I get everything out with the Vril? So listen, we're having I'm talking about the exorcism, the NaZZZi Vril exorcism of Enima of 2024. My suggestion, just what I'm doing, is clearing out all of the parasites in every single arena. I'm talking about all the ones from each, this, that, and that. And if you want to sleep with whoever you want to sleep with, you want to know it's on your own accord. You want to know that that is influencing you to act, eat, and behave in ways, be able to vet that out. I could be a liar. You could basically say FleurBrun a liar. I did a parasite cleanse and it didn't change my sexual disposition. Then by all means, prove me wrong. But you can also prove me right. Okay, so should we get into this conversation? You ready? If you like coconut, go get coconuts yourself and do coconuts. I have a sensitivity, all positives. We can't mess with coconuts that much. We talked about O positives and stuff like that. That's my opinion about what we eat as an O positive. Coconuts don't do well with O positives. Okay, not especially not a lot of it. There are other things too. We're more of like meat and vegetable kind of people. That's just O positives. It's very cut and dry. We have a lot of allergies to grains, flours, all grains, all wheats. You know, if you're having issues with your stomach, you need to take out all flour, all wheat, all grains out your diet completely. It is where most of the inflammation, if you ever see me with a lot of inflammation, it's because I'm having grains. We have an allergy to coffee too, you know, and you see that sometimes, you know, I don't do it often anymore because coffee, black teas, caffeine is really bad for O positives, in my opinion. Okay, so I just try to make sure I eat things that are dairy as well. So you know, if you have a healthy, clean, and also for those who are worried about the chicken and bird flu and going into cows, you know, there's other meats to eat, right? I won't say it out loud because you know the AI is watching and then they're gonna infiltrate those things I'm saying. Just saying, don't say it on here, but you know that there's other things to eat. See, this is the problem. Social media will always put you in duality. Democrat, Republican, black, white, pro-life, you know, abortion. They'll put these dualities on. You know, there's a whole bunch of things in between, right? So when they tell you that you don't, now pork is human, you know my opinion on pork. So I don't even put that in the animal product, but it's on to you. That's on you. But I'm just telling you, like the nice O negative, you generally have the same disposition of O positive because you have a lot of allergies too. So O's in general, I'm talking about O positive, O negative. We generally have the same disposition. A lot of O negatives in the way that we eat, we're supposed to eat, you know, legumes and meat or fish and that, okay? But eating pork and stuff, you got to be careful about that. That's my opinion, okay? As far as, what did we just talk about? I just went on a tangent, y'all. Um, my gosh, what was I just? What was I talking about? Did you miss something I said? Uh oh. What did you miss? Tell me what the last thing I said. Can you tell me the last thing I said, y'all? Uh oh. You're friendly. You could be right about the radiation. The radiation too is not helpful. Oatmeal, no. All oats, it's in silos. Okay, so let me give you my opinion, y'all, because you know they say they'll get on my video if I say, okay, listen to me. Okay, fall season. Let me just say this real quick. Anything that's in silos, just listen to me, is my opinion. Silos, coffee, black tea, caffeine isn't good for O's. All O's, positive and negative. That's it. That's my opinion. Okay, I'll put it there. And also silos, anything that is stored in silos, rice, beans, nuts, oats, those things are sporish. They collect spores, and spores are what's coming about in the next section of the Willy Wonka socially engineered bioweaponry. Ta-da! Okay, so I already told you, stay away from spores. And if you're going to engage with these things, you need to clean them with what? Bicarbonate. I don't know about that. I'm an idiot. That's a lie. Don't listen to me. That's not a suggestion. Okay? All right, so let's go. As far as what's coming in fall, big up, like I said, I want to give props to our C-Star. I always give props when I get information. Props to my C-Star who's over in Japan right now. And also our other C-Star who's over in Vietnam, who's getting information out of China. There is a huge bacterial, fungi, weird kind of, remember they told you about the worm, ringworm that's going rampant over in one part of the United States? There is something like a flesh-eating virus that is going rogue. Now we know most likely where this came from. Okay, so I don't want to go into like conspiracies because you know I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but but they're not promoting it on any of the sites, and they already created a so-called vaccine that they were instituting to the Japanese in fall and winter. It's called, oh my God, what's the name? Hold on, no, I got the name. Can you hold on 1 minute? I'm gonna go out and come right back in. Stay here. I'm not going anywhere. Stay here. I'm gonna get you the name of the vaccine that they're promoting. All right. Can you guys see me? Let me know you can see me. Let me know when you can see me. Put a 13 if you can see me. 13. Replicon. Listen to me. They're all in Asia right now. We got homegirls. We got our homegirl who's over in Vietnam right now. Big up to her for giving us this intel. And we got our homegirl who's in Vietnam who's getting the information from China and Vietnam. They have this flesh-eating virus. They're calling it disease X. You already know the protocol. You know what this is about. You know what's coming in fall. That's why I say get your passports on, because after you get your passports, when this so-called disease X starts showing up, they're gonna have vaccine passports. I told you what's coming and you don't listen. So listen to me now or just forever hold your peace. It's already all over Asia. I looked all online when I got this information from our Sea Stars. There's nothing coming over here in the United States. It's called Replicon, is the vaccine that they already created. You know who lives over there? Billy Gates lives over in Japan in one of the neighborhoods. According to the Sea Stars, we found out he has a home over there. So, you know, he's got all kinds of diabolical projections over here. They already have the vaccine that they're planning to give out. Replicon, they're going to distribute it in Japan, and I hope Japanese fight against this. Japan over in fall and in winter. And you know, whatever goes on over there, as you remember, and they're talking about this flesh-eating disease bacteria that's, remember we talked about what's coming on. I told you to watch that movie about the fungus and the fungi people. Okay, I told you what's coming, and it probably takes over the brain. But this is going all over Asia, and they're giving all the warnings over there. How come we haven't heard anything here? How come you haven't heard anything about the Replicon? There is a whistleblower over there that they also are trying to get rid of, or they already did, that spoke about what's going on over there in Japan, and this is a problem, y'all. Okay, so when I give you this information, I will tell you The Last of Us. Thank you, Giuseppe. I'm just telling you, we already were ready for this end game. I told you what you need to do. Okay, and I told you that when I left the country, they got us tagged. So I'm gonna give the protocol to my zombies. Some of you who come over on a Patreon, you will get the protocol if you want to leave, because there's something they're doing when you leave that I had to vet out that happened when I left this time the country, and they don't want you to leave the country. Let me state this, y'all. The United Fakes is up for demolition. I don't want to put fear. Listen, mommies, because I know a lot of women get nervous when I talk about this. I'm a woman. I'm a mother. I'm a doggy mom. I have lots of dogs. I have a beautiful mother, gratefully, who's still with me. Understand and understand when I give you this information, it isn't to put fear in you. It's to put fire underneath your butt. I'm a triple fire sign. I won't let you sit idly and allow yourself to be taken over by these bastards. You need to have a foot out of here. And now. And if you don't have your US freaking mother freaking passport, you need to get it before they start putting restrictions and other pages on there for vaccines. Because that's the goal. The goal is to put those pages on there so you can't leave. You see that the whole freaking country of Mexico was taken over by a diabolical Daros. I mean, literally, all these Mexican people, governmental officials, are being swept and taken out. Unfortunately, Ecuador, they had a full country blackout, which you should be concerned about, because that makes me think, because remember a couple of months ago, Ecuador had some weird kind of coup happening. And you know, when the Daros are taking over, they coup a country, they take it over, and then they had a blackout. Could be some sort of 5G setting up the frequencies, getting over some of my Ecuadorian people. I'm putting love and good frequencies out for you. Okay? But number one, I've told you before. And a lot of people say, "Oh, you're gonna rock it out in the U.S." I'm not going to deter you, but I will try to give you a recommendation. You have to leave, and I don't care if it's just for a short period of time, but I need to have you have a leg out and in, because once that election happens, it's like in 130 days. And don't you think that one side is better than the other? One is a Trojan horse, one is an absolute fool. And it is good bad cop scenario to make you choose another side, so that you won't get the smart cities, but you'll get the freedom cities. And you'll remember when I told you that one is going to offer you the smart city and one is going to offer you the freedom cities, and they both are the same. You have to do this. It's not about preparing anymore. Before, I used to be like, hunker down, do what you do. My recommendation, and I'm telling you how I know you're supposed to leave, is because how much infiltration, when I left the country this time, the things that they knew I was doing that they shouldn't have known. The amount of surveillance that's happening when you try to leave the country is off the mother freaking chain. Okay, so that being said, you have to be, and that's why I say when you come to my channel, I give you recommendations to where to go with children. You know, many of you know I travel with my babies. I travel with my babies, and usually I go with my wolf pack, my doggies. If you want to remember on Patreon, I give you that. I give you a little recommendation of places. I tell you different places that are safe. And what I found is there's some beautiful safe places that are not infiltrated right now with Daros overload. Okay. And that being said, it's very important that you understand and understand that I cannot be the whistleblower that tells you this too often, because when I found out what's going on with our homegirl who told us, Angie told us what's going on in Japan, and when An is telling me what's over in Asia being shown on all their news and everything, and I haven't heard one whistleblower. What, look online. JW. Where is the whistleblower? I'm sure after I share this, there'll be a whole bunch. It's called Replicon. If they have a vaccine that they are distributing in Japan, supposedly, this is their projection, in fall or winter. Now, you know, if they have something like that and you got whole Billy Bob living over in Japan, Mr. Billy Gates is living over there comfortable, fat off the hog, fat off the sushi, living there, instituting these things. And I want you to know that also Billy Gates was over in India. Billy Gates was over in Vietnam. Why is this man sweeping all through Asia? He is not a doctor. He is not verified. We haven't voted for him. Who is this eugenicist that is literally being instituted into our world, giving us regulations and recommendations without any qualification? Have you voted for him? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Did you vote for Bill Gates? I don't know. Did you? Because I hadn't voted for him. Did you choose? Where did this man come from? How do you know he's even real? He could be some sort of bioborg, AI bioborg that literally is showing a green screen and you think he's real. This is some sort of AI system, y'all. I told you, this is about the pole shift. You don't want to listen to me. And listen, Archaics will talk about it in 2046, y'all. That is the setup. So you sit complacently eating your oatmeal, drinking your Coca-Cola, chicken of mass destruction. So you sit there idly in your house and you don't know any better. They are destroying your food sources. They're getting rid of anything healthy. They're putting worms, bugs, all in your food and up your butt. And then you worry about everything. How is all these parasites getting all over everybody? Because they're putting it in everything. It isn't to put you fear, but remember, not every country is at war or is going to be in war. That's not true. And what I notice as I'm traveling, they are not promoting certain countries to you. Listen, some of you have timeshares and so on. Big up to everybody who travels. Some of you travel nieces have timeshares and so on. I found that something very interesting, y'all. There was a place in South America, I'll just say that. And I noticed that there was somebody else who was traveling. So they said, oh, let me look through my timeshare book and see if I could get a place over where you at. So I was like, that's cool. So you can get a free, because timeshare people, you pay so-and-so, I think you pay like a fee. I don't know. You get weeks or something. I don't know what it is. Okay. So she was trying to get close to where we're at. And she said, you know what's funny, FleurBrun? Every single place that you're traveling to, there are no options of any hotels or resorts that are in my timeshare book in those locations. So I said, that can't be the case. I said, look, call your representation, your book, call your representation, call and see what's going on. Tell me if, they have some, maybe it's online, maybe it's not in your book. They called and they said, we don't do those areas. That's why you can't listen to Intellis that sit in a box, in a van, online. Stop calling me other people like JW, sitting in a van, sitting in his house. He don't never travel nowhere. He probably doesn't have a passport, telling you all kind of intel, but he doesn't know about that life because he's not about that life. Anybody who's sitting in their house, sitting in their square box, telling you what the world is going on, and they don't even travel the world, those are people you got to be careful listening to, because I'm here in real time and I'm telling you that they don't want you to travel, and they don't want you to travel certain places that have more protective place. Listen, wherever I was right now, people are chilling. They don't have a care in the world. They don't have chemtrails. They don't have food. They don't have dirt and chemicals and all kinds of craziness in their food. How do I know? Because I'm eating it and I feel better than I did in the States eating organic and so-called GMO free. Okay? Their water is not being totally infiltrated. Their government is not trying to kill them. So what does that say? What does that say to you? So not everywhere in the world is there are a lot of countries that are actually peaceful, that are healthy. And when she looked through her timeshare book and she could not find any choices in places that I was staying, I knew I was in a safe zone. Okay. Like I said, I'm on Zoom every, close it, baby, the box. I'm on Zoom every Sunday and Thursday on my Patreon, and then I have the travel people who get information. Not, there isn't every place that's being infiltrated, but I will tell you something. Since I got to some of these so-called safer locations, guess what? Willy Wonka doesn't like it, and they make sure they let me know. And that's why when you travel out of the country, I got to give you certain recommendations to do because I saw what they did. Because remember, so long as you have a banking system with them, they will try to deter you by messing with things in your bank. They will mess with certain things. You'll get certain phone calls and certain messages on your phone. This is how they deter you. They'll do certain things on social media. Remember, once you're outside of that dome of Willy Wonka, of ground zero, because really, I told you, America, the USA is Egypt. It is Babylon. This is a whole so-called biblical thing. You know, it's all a cylindrical, what do you call it? Like a program. It's the same thing over and over. World War I, World War II, and World War III. It's the same thing. It's all coded. It's all coded. It's all a loop. It happens every single cycle. It happens the same way. You have these Daros who are controlling. I think they're AI based and they're some sort of subterranean, vampiric type of beings. They take over every political system. They hold all the social engineering. They're the reasons for World War II and III, and they always cloak these so-called resets and pole shifts with pandemics. Look at every war. It always either was preceded with a pandemic or after the war, but it's all cloaked in there so that you think it's in the archives as a war, and it's not. It's reset, but then what they do is they try to do things inside of it so it gives you an excuse why these people disappear, why so many people transition. Okay? That is my recommendation. What is going in Asia now from Angie and from On, I got the intel. There's some flesh eating bacteria that's going rampant. I don't know that I believe that. I believe they're telling people that so that they will take the replicon that they already created and they're going to give to the Japanese people, and the Japanese population cannot take another hit like that. I didn't even realize 80% of them got the blah blah blah. They already don't have a young population of children. There's a lot of elders that are living the longest over there, and it just is very disgusting. That being said, all I'm saying to you is that you don't have to run out of anything. When people are like, oh, why are you running away? Do I look like I'm running? I'm enjoying myself in a beautiful other country that I haven't visited before, meeting some amazing beings, having telepathic messages from other beings from other worlds. That isn't running. That's literally making a choice to be outside of the realm of infiltration, chemicalization, and terraforming a body to be as low vibrational as possible to make it easier to make people transition earlier. You don't have to run if you make decisions that are preempting what your Willy Wonka systems are doing. So please, or I'm making people feel like they have to run away. You haven't, and the only time you ever gonna have to run if you don't take a recommendation that someone vetted and who is in the know has suggested, so that you aren't leaving out of force, you're leaving out of choice. There are a lot of places where you and your children can be happier and healthier. There's a reason why in Europe, a lot of your European products have 126 chemicals and ingredients that are banned from banned in their country and not the United States. So even when we get products and we get certain kind of things we purchase that are organic, it does not touch a basic thing in Europe, which has 126, I think it's 126 banned ingredients that they won't put in their products to hurt their people. But darn Skippy, they'll put it in ours. And to my people who always say, you know, I'm native to the America, if you know that America is in a continent, just putting some logic and reason behind some of your times. Sometimes you have fearful reactions to what I share and just kind of want to sit down and kind of bunker down. America is a continent. You do know that, right? So a continent has north, south, and central. Why do indigenous groups feel that you think our ancestors didn't travel? I come from the Carib and the Taino. You know we traveled. That's why you hear me say my family's from South America. They lived in Central America. They lived also in the Caribbean, and they live now in the States, and they've lived in other places. Because any healthy tribe or tribal based person would understand that if something is going down and the land isn't right, the animals aren't healthy, or the water's dried up, our tribal mindset was to migrate where it was healthier, where it was plentiful for our children and our tribes. The Americas is huge, y'all. Stop thinking in terms of America as being the only place, USA being the only place in the Americas. You have countries that are expansive, resourceful, and are not chemtrailing the heck out of you. It is the Americas. So stop putting yourself in a box, in a cube, thinking that this is the only place that your native ancestors live. Most of you aren't realizing that within the spectrum of indigenous groups and tribes, they migrated north and south and central all the time. Some of you from the northern groups like Blackfoot, they traveled into Canada outside. They traveled into the West and the South, but they weren't fully, that whole colonizing mindset that you have barriers and borders, that's not natural. Those aren't natural borders. My ancestors, the Carib and the Taino, were all in the US Americas and also in South America. We traded with one another. We married into each other's families. That's why I have cellular memory of certain places within all of the Americas. Why are you pinholing yourself to thinking, oh, I'm tribal? Your tribes are not going to be protected here, y'all. I'm sorry. I know people will say, well, stay and fight. If you want to stay and fight, by all means, but you're going to fight against AI. You're going to fight against the Shinwa that are all into all controlling the AI system. You're going to fight against all these entities, seen and unseen, in a space that is already designated for detonation. I'm talking to the moms mostly and mothers, because really in itself, my compassion goes for them, because a lot of times, and it's not to say I don't have compassion to men, but men can move a lot quicker independently, especially if they don't have children. Now, if they have families, men are much more logical. They protect their families, and they're seen as a force when other men come against them. When women are traveling with children and they haven't that male force, I have to give them a preamp. I need to give them a pre-run, like literally I need to give them a leg up, because I'm speaking to them. A lot of times they're more vulnerable because they don't have necessarily the resources right away. They are a little nervous to travel with their little ones. They may have some restrictions. So I have to give them a little bit more of information to allow them to feel more comfortable to try to be able to have a leg out. But I will tell you, let zero languages scare you. My family came here and English was not their first language. Many even know French was. Do I seem like I don't speak English properly? You aren't pinholed into one place. And like I said, I'm in Chile. Big up to my Chileans. Chile is a beautiful country. I hadn't any clue how beautiful this country was. First time in Chile, and I tell you, they left a lasting impression that will stay in my mind forever, and my children's. It is a place that isn't being promoted for you to travel. Their economy is the most stable in South America. It is somewhere where Americans aren't being propagated to come here. And when I came here as an American, oh yes, Willy Wonka does not like that, and nor do they like the promotion of it. The first key is getting your passports, and some of you say, oh, I can't get, you better get it. You better get it. And it better be before they put an extra couple pages on there for the blah, blah. Because at that point, you're going to have to stay where you stay. So that being said, I hope this was helpful. You know, again, the last video, unfortunately, I'm gonna upload the last video probably on Patreon. It wasn't something that Willy Wonka liked. I hope this was helpful. Again, you don't have to take anything I say with validity. You can always source everything out, but I'm just giving you a heads up that what's coming is already here and it's already set up. And by the time you hesitate, think it out, try to, you know, flip it, rub it down, is going to be a bigger issue for others because of it. So, you know, again, you can always join me on Patreon. It's not me promoting that, but obviously me creating that space allows for more privatized information, and people who don't like me generally won't come there because they don't want to pay to come somewhere where they don't like me. So that's, I actually love that space for that reason. Also for traveling and so on, I can give recommendations for you to go certain places specifically, not generally like I do here, because again, I'm traveling with my family. Giving you too much specifics, especially with people who don't like me, who want to come here and listen and put energetic things on me, I won't allow them to do that. If they do it, they're going to have to come where I'm at, and they're going to have to come and deal with protection and shields and things that I put on my platforms. So that being said, you know, hopefully this is helpful. Please fact check everything. You know, it's 130 days to the fake election. You already know it's going to be a ish show, okay? And big up to Chile. I haven't seen anybody from Chile on here. This is what I'm saying, y'all. Chile is like, I'm in Chile now. It's so amazing. Chile is, y'all, I'm not gonna big it up enough, but I am pleasantly surprised. So anybody on Chile who's here, let me know. Chile is an economy that is strong. The people are amazing. As a woman of color, and with children of color, I am so grateful to be welcomed. And not even welcome, it's just I can walk without feeling like I'm being watched or monitored. There isn't that kind of prejudice here. Like, listen, I appreciate Chile. So anybody from Chile, I want to give you a big up to you and your beautiful country. The hip hop, the music's off the chain. The fashion is fantastic. The food is amazing. I'm pleasantly surprised. You know what I mean? So I was all the way in Santiago, Chile. I was all the way in the south, and I could really appreciate it from north to south. So remember, I don't just talk about it, I be about it. I don't just start in one arena, but I make sure I go from north to south. I want to feel the country out, and I'm unafraid, gratefully, to be able to do that. I'm your Sag who has the will, the knowledge, and the ability to be able to source things out. So I will see you guys on Zoom, I think tomorrow. Oh, the draft. Oh, someone asked about the draft. Sovereign asked about the draft. You already know, y'all. What am I telling you to do? You want your children to fight for a president that poops on himself? For a country that's already given up on you? You're going to fight for a country that has not fought for you. You have people, you have right now in Israel, them going buck wild over in Gaza for their border being compromised, whether it's by their government or not. They're going buck wild for their borders being compromised. How come we are not? How come anybody's allowed to cross the border? I come from foreign families. My family had to go through a whole lot of money, resources to be able to come through the borders. And they had to verify, be qualified. They had to go through a whole bunch of like tests. They had to be, have background checks. They had to show and speak the language. Like, how come that's not happening now? Because the country's done. It is Babylon, and it's the exodus out of here. So when you see countries like Israel fighting and battling and doing all kinds of things, the guys, because their borders were done, how come we don't see that here? It's crazy. Okay? So do what you do. You heard my recommendation. I wish everybody well. And also the draft, you know, moms who have children, we all have children who are in that age range. My recommendation is, as it remains, leave the country. And you know how they have that. I asked the zombies too. You know that scene where they're running out of Babylon, right? And they tell them not to turn around because they'll turn to salt, right? They'll turn to stone. When you leave Babylon and you've made that decision to live a happier, healthier, and more qualified life, refrain from ever turning around. It's unnecessary. There isn't anything that's going to be left here except concentration camps, freedom cities, controlled, and bugworm and Soylent Green. If that's something you want for you and your families, then you should stay. And if you're thinking that I'm exaggerating, that you can live in the countryside, look what's happening to Idaho right now. And that is the most lunar protected and people who have the most ability to protect themselves. And look what they're doing to the Idaho farmers right now. If you think that you're going to be safe somewhere in a homestead privately in the United States, even though it's big and grandiose as it is, they got your goat and they got it all covered. I wish everybody well. Thank you again. I will talk to you in another country sometime soon.